In Chapter 5, there were many concepts in the book that discuss different theories in relation to behaviorism. One concept I found interesting and that would apply to my CPC paper quite nicely is the concept of cueing and prompting. Cueing and prompting can be used in many situations in and outside the classroom. You can see examples of this method anywhere from teachers dinging a bell in their classroom to get their students to clean up their work, or flickering classroom lights above to notify and signal the students that they are being way too loud and they need to speak a little bit more quiet. Cueing happens when we use signals to indicate that a certain response is desirable or not, or it also is another task to start a conversation and start something to happen. The purpose of prompting is an additional cue or action with the goal of shaping a desired response from a student. Prompting goes along hand in hand with cues so that these methods increase the likelihood that students will learn how to respond or cue the language phrase itself once the prompt is removed. In other words, how I interpret cueing and prompting is that the cue is the original question or action desired. Some students might not understand the cue at first. It might be too difficult for them. And so prompting comes in to help the student, acting as somewhat of like a crutch in order to guide them into the direction of solving the cue. This concept relates to my problem because as an SLP working with a student who has word finding and speech production errors, cueing and prompting will be needed in order for him to find words to respond to conversation in the classroom. How I personally would address this problem is with my student, I would use cueing and prompting methods in therapy in order for him to be able to comprehend conversation and find words easier. According to the text, cueing can come in two forms, that being verbal and nonverbal. In this case, I would use verbal cueing in therapy to strike up a conversation about what my student's favorite food was. He may not understand the question I asked fully. He might have not understood the word favorite, for example. And so I would proceed to use a prompt to help the cue of what is your favorite food. My prompt is, I would say, I had my favorite food today. It was spaghetti and it was so yummy. What food do you like to eat the most? By using prompting to help the cue, I would be able to give my student more words and clues as to what I was asking, hopefully giving him a better chance at comprehending my cue. As therapy progresses, I would plan to use the concept of fading the use of my prompting so that my student can comprehend cues more on his own with no help. This in turn would hopefully help my student find words faster, therefore creating faster responses in conversation with his peers or in the classroom. How his teacher would assess cueing and prompting in the classroom would be by not being afraid to call on my SLP student and ask questions relating to whatever is being taught in school at that point. If the teacher finds that the student is having problems formulating a response, she should use prompting to help guide my SLP student to construct a response. He might just have word finding difficulties, and so if she uses more clues to guide him towards the response, it would be much easier for him. So cueing and prompting is really good for my CPC paper. It really goes in really well with my CPC problem. Lastly, the question I have for class is when I was reading, I came across the concept of continuous reinforcement. Continuous reinforcement is a teacher just always smiling and always saying good job to like the students after pretty much everything that they do. And my question is that if there is continuous reinforcement present at all the time in a classroom or a teaching setting, will the students think that it is normal, like just a normal aspect of the teacher herself, and not realize it's reinforcement? And will they not be able to appreciate the reinforcement that they're getting? Therefore, the reinforcement not really being reinforcement, just being not effective at all. I would like to know how common continuous reinforcement is and what settings exactly they are used in, because it's very interesting to me and I would like to find out. So that's all. Thank you.